Ahoy! Welcome to Starla's Art Studio, and today I'm doing my very second art challenge video, and this challenge is a non-dominant hand challenge, or the left hand challenge, because I am right-handed. So I've been thinking about which challenge I was going to do, and I was debating among 3 different ones. Either a left hand challenge, a no thumb challenge, or a blindfolded challenge. You guys can let me know if you want me to do one of the other 2. I chose to do a left-handed challenge just because it seemed the most interesting and exciting to me at the time. I was really excited to do this challenge, but I wanted to make it a wee bit hard, so I didn't want to do a simple head or just a standing pose, so I tried to make the pose full of movement and a little hard. Plus, the left version of the drawing would be mirrored so they'd interact with each other. So, for this challenge, I was going to draw Starla, but I decided to draw a different character. Her name is Mariah. She is a little character from what I guess you could call an animation series. I named it Squish Stick Skits. I called it that because I wanted everything to look kind of colorful, and I wanted to have like squishy stick people. I only have about 1 animation with this though. I have plenty of concepts ready, and the first one I'm working on right now isn't done yet. I've been working on it for a while, but things like crashes, getting a new computer, and other delays made it take a while for me to get it done. But from the animation, here's what she looked like. Beep. The one I'm currently doing is a more humanoid version of her though. Same for my Starla character. When I first drew her, she was quite different than she looks now, and as I drew her more and more, she kind of just evolved and changed to look how she does now, to be the mascot of this channel. So back to the drawing. Using my dominant right hand was of course pretty easy because I always draw with that hand. Now the left one was pretty different. I've watched plenty of other non-dominant hand challenge videos and they're neat to watch, but of course, as the viewer, it really didn't look as difficult as it probably was for them, because it was definitely pretty hard when I did it. I think what gave me some confidence for this eye challenge is what happened to me once that made me draw with my left hand. Okay, so once, at the end of a school year, when everyone was getting ready for Christmas break, one of my classes had a mini-party, where there was a few games and such, but then one of them was where everyone was given a deflated balloon and we had to see who could blow the biggest one within a certain amount of time. Right after that, there was a game where we were all given markers and we were assigned to draw on the balloon. It was a drawing contest on who could draw the best face. After I heard that, I inwardly smiled thinking, ooh, neat, this sounds fun. But because I was known in that class for being the artist, most of them turned to me and one girl shouted, "She can't play, it won't be fair!" I was both a bit flattered and put down by that. So I was about to say, okay, I can just draw over here in the corner and not be part of this game. But before I said anything, the teacher said, okay then, just draw with your left hand. I thought the idea was really interesting, so I was like, ooh, okay. So I remember there was a timer of maybe 2 to 5 minutes to draw. Some people thought it was a bit funny to see me struggle with a little balloon and saying things like, no, ugh, I want to switch my hands so bad right now, and I really thought I was doing a bad job on that balloon. And I'll show you what it looked like in a minute. When the timer went off, the teacher called on everyone one by one to show their balloon faces. She called in maybe 5 people before she got to me, and me, feeling kind of critical about what I drew, said, can I be the last one? But the teacher and everyone else insisted to see what I drew. I closed my eyes and quickly turned the balloon, and most people said things like, oh, that's not bad. I turned the balloon back around to look at it, and I saw it was pretty okay for my left hand and on a balloon. I think I may make that into a video challenge someday. But anyways, I don't think I remember a winner being announced, but the challenge was pretty fun. Oh, and here's a picture I took of it after I got home. I also drew a Christmas hat Starla on the other side with my right hand after the class ended. Here's that picture too. Okay, so back to the drawing. I already finished the right hand drawing and I was pretty happy with how it came out, but after that I realized how much work I put into this one, and I remembered I would actually have to put the same amount of work in the left-handed version. And whew, did that make me kind of nervous. But I had the thought of the balloon drawing in my head, so I thought, I mean, it wasn't that hard back then, right? This couldn't be that bad. I was wrong. Past me didn't remember the lack of detail in line work that the balloon drawing had. I mean, on the balloon, I played it a bit safe because we were also given permanent markers to draw with, so no erasing. Okay, so around here, I slowed down the recording a bit, and wow, my hand was so awkward and shaky when I switched to my left hand. I had just paused the recording earlier and switched my tablet to the left-handed settings, and my hand felt so weird. It was shaking around, not completely knowing how to hold the stylus correctly, and as you can see, my lines were so horrid. I drew the circle for the head like multiple times, and I pretty much did the same thing for every other line in this drawing. Well, I hope you're prepared to watch me suffer! It was almost like learning how to draw again, even if my mind already knew how to. It was so weird. It was almost stressing me out at the beginning how to know what I'm going to do and how to do it, but my hand doesn't. Honestly, the sketching phase was the worst in the entire process. So many of the lines were just super wiggly and I was just sure it wasn't gonna turn out well, like, at all. I remember trying to make so many lines and constantly undoing it until it looked kind of okay. Other times I would just be trying to draw something and then I would just throw my hand up saying, "Ugh, hand work, draw, please." It just felt so weird not even being able to properly control a part of myself. I mean, this was kind of hard. Righties, if you haven't tried this already, try it. It's like kind of fun, but like hard and weird. Lefties, I hope you're enjoying me struggle with something you're like awesome at doing. And if you haven't tried doing it with your right hand, try it too. Now, if you're ambidextrous, respect. You peeps can draw with both hands, and that's just really cool. I think it would be super cool to see someone who's ambidextrous drawing because, like, being able to control both hands doing two different things at the same time, that's just really cool. Kudos to anyone out there who can do that. In the middle of the drawing, I honestly kind of wish I didn't choose to do this pose because, oh my crusty cantaloupe, was this hard. I mean, I actually remember my left hand getting a little used to being used, which made the drawing a little easier but still really hard. I mean, the whole thing was just such a kind of weird experience, but it was really cool at the same time. It was hard enough trying to do things like her arms and her body, but I almost just gave up when I got to her hands. The one that reaches towards her right version was okay, but when I got to the line art, the left one came out really weird. I just left it how it was before I messed it up even more. I just remember I did a lot of erasing to try to fix what I could. Another thing that made this process kind of weird was that my right hand was not used to being assigned to the role of button presser. Before, I would always use my left hand for things like using shortcuts and whatnot. I was using a laptop, so the touchpad or trackpad placement wasn't much of a problem. But when I switched over, my right hand would sometimes touch it, making my laptop think I wanted to click or something or do what I didn't want to do. So that was a bit annoying, but I had to pay quite a bit of attention to where I had my hand. Other times, my left hand wasn't used to holding and using my drawing tablet pen, so I would sometimes have it on a weird angle on the tablet. I would scroll or zoom in and out when I didn't want to, or I would just not put enough pressure on the lines, so those were all things I had to get used to when doing this challenge. Well, now the line art, or one of the hardest parts of this drawing, are done. If you notice, there was a lot of constantly redrawing the same lines over and over again. It was way more tedious than I thought it would have been. But I actually did find a technique to make the lines come out a bit better than they could have. So I noticed that, similar to my right hand, when I do quick movements with my left hand, it makes them in a specific direction and curve, so I use the rotation tool to my advantage so I can make more smooth looking lines. Of course, with my wild, untamed hand, that was still kind of hard. So when I made these curved lines, they usually kind of fly off into some direction, so when they get close enough to the way I wanted them to, I just erased the extra parts. Around this part, I was adding in the colors. So this part actually wasn't that hard because I found this neat technique for coloring where all you do is add the color around the area you need it. Then, by using the magic wand tool, or by pressing W as the shortcut, you then select all the parts outside of the area where you wanted the coloring to be, and then you just press delete and get rid of it. Make sure the tolerance is high enough, like maybe about 80, and that the checkbox that is labeled Sample All Layers is on. This technique made the coloring stage much faster and easier on my left hand. But yeah, the line art phase was pretty weird. I saw her hair in front of her face went a bit too long and her head looked a bit bigger compared to her body than on the right one, so yeah, my left hand made a few of the proportions kind of off. I would say that the hardest parts of her to draw were her face and her hands. Pretty much any small detail was like crazy hard for me to do. Something that's overall different about these two drawings from most of my other ones is the colors that I shaded with. Kind of like with my Blueberry Girl drawing, I used blues to shade her instead of reds and oranges. I kind of like the way it turned out though. Overall, the left-hand drawing looks a bit off, but I think the techniques I used help it come out way better than it could have. But I remember because of the constant line redrawing, it took at least 45 minutes longer to draw the left-handed one than the right one. I think this art challenge is pretty hard, yet pretty great to try. I would definitely recommend it to anyone who hasn't tried it yet. But before accepting such a challenge, please have a fresh load of patience ready, because this can be a bit annoying when the lines don't seem to come out right. So just to update you in case you didn't already know, I have a Pinterest and Instagram account and I'm posting the drawings and such for my videos on Pinterest and some of them on Instagram. I'm planning on posting my everyday sketches and drawings on Instagram. I actually posted a drawing I made in one of my sketchbooks within the past few days, so it's pretty new. So if you want to see some of my hand-drawn work, you can go there. My Insta is just Starla's Art Studio, no caps or anything, or you can follow the link in either the description or on my channel. Thanks to everyone who's already there, and I hope to see a few more of you. Well, these drawings are just about done. The step with recoloring the line art was pretty easy. Since I didn't have to do a lot of precision or careful hand movements, it wasn't that hard to do. I also went back and added a little lighter shiny parts on their bracelet since I forgot to add that earlier. I also changed the shading of her hair on the right drawing because it looked a little off to me at first. Well, here are the finished drawings. Thanks a bunch for watching. This was a pretty interesting challenge and I hope you enjoyed watching. Have a stellar day. Bye!